Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the show. We've got such an exciting show. I'm so grateful to be here. Very first episode. We're going to start off with Jeff Clark, the master charger of Mavericks. Not only did he discover Mavericks, he surfed it by himself for years. Insane. We're going to get his take on the big swell that just hit. And if it is the biggest waves in history ever at Mavericks, Jeff will let us know. Then we're going to hit up Jack Sandler, who was out there filming at Mavericks on a crazy day. The boats couldn't get out. The jet skis had troubles getting out. You couldn't see anything from the cliff. You had to be in a boat or a jet ski because it was so foggy out there. So we're going to get his story. And lastly, but definitely not leastly, Brad Gerlach, inventor of the game. Insane surfer, was on the world tour for years. Held down first place many times, ended up second in the world a couple times, and also inventor of Wave Key, which is like a groundbreaking learning system to improve your surfing at any age. So we're gonna wrap it up with Brad, but let's get started. We've got an exciting show. I'm pumped up, as you can tell. I hope you enjoy it. Can I ask you a couple questions about the big day?
Sure.
Sick. Well, I mean, you've surfed more big days than anyone, obviously, being the pioneer out there at Mavericks. And I've filmed a lot of sessions in the last 10 years out there, but from what I saw, it looked like the biggest day in history or in our lifetimes. Is that true?
There was like 100 Foot Wednesday, which was 2001. That was another gigantic swell and then it was, about 3-4 years ago, there was a giant swell that had waves breaking across the boat channel. This is a really dangerous harbor at times, but this swell was, with the 23-second average interval, and then there was a 30-second component in it also. So in the afternoon, when the swell really crescendoed, that's when the biggest waves came through. And the wave that Aloe caught, that thing just morphed. It's like it was a perfect combination of 24-second interval getting run over by 30-second interval and just jacking to the heavens.
Yeah, because I'm looking at that wave right now, and it's weird because I was on Instagram and I saw a photo from that day, and I instantly thought, this is Photoshop.
Right, exactly. It's like a cartoon drawing. And being in the lineup and seeing it was ridiculous. I mean, it just was so big. Pretty cool.
The crazy thing is, though, it's like only that big for like 5 seconds. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm not trying to take anything away from the wave, but like it literally, and I know Nazare is more of like a shower than a grower, but Mavericks is definitely a grower. And this thing just grew into, and it had that like 5-10 second window where it literally looked like the biggest wave anyone's ever surfed in history.
Right. It was the perfect combination of all the confluence of height and interval and the perfect like slamming into the reef and everything going up.
Everything going up.
Yeah, there was nowhere else for it to go but up and out, and we rarely see waves that are that big, as hollow as a beach break barrel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy that big to be that hollow.
It's literally like, I don't think people that don't surf can understand. Like, this is nature, the earth itself's raw energy.
Yeah, I mean, so speaking of that raw energy and that getting those intervals, so like a 24-second interval in open ocean is moving like 40 miles an hour in open ocean, right? and a 30-second interval component is moving faster than that. And if those things converge at the perfect time where that wave hits the shelf, it just stops the bottom edge of that wavelength, and those speeds of that swell, with the bottom stopping, it just like cracks the whip and just hurls it skyward and to the beach into this giant double up energy barrel. It's pretty, raw power.
You explained it to me in such a great way, because I was just imagining like, oh, it magically got big, but you're telling me what happened. The energy of the earth, the ocean slowed down in it, and then there must be a huge part of the reef that sticks up right there, so all that energy just went vertically.
Yeah, it's that wavelength was so deep and moving so fast, it's like being tripped at high speed. Right. That much. So those intervals are something that we really haven't seen and that allowed all that wave height and speed when it's tripped by the reef that is the bowl at Mavericks, or even the next second reef, third reef, when all that energy can't continue to carry through deep water, that wavelength stops at the bottom and everything goes up and over and out. And the way Mavericks is, it does grow, man. By the time like even the paddle days, by the time you catch the wave and get to your feet, the face grows like 10 feet or more. And it's just that recoil of hitting the reef and then going up and then out. It's what makes the reef at Mavericks so unique. It just comes out of deep water and it gets shallow. And so it really just trips. And, same thing with Peahi, Jaws. When that thing, the biggest waves, they're not as hollow right at takeoff, but the second bowl or the west bowl, it's, if it's big enough, it's hollow off the first side of things. But when you saw the first part of the peak of the wave, I mean, you could tell that there was more interval in the Mavericks waves than there were at the Jaws waves, just because they threw further. And then it hits the bowl, and the bowl at Jaws is just, that thing just spins and winds like no tomorrow. Really hollow.
Yeah. So what you're saying also is that there have been swells close to this size, but that wave just, the way it was angled, everything came together to make it the split second, possibly the biggest wave ever ridden, and possibly the biggest wave ever ridden at Mavericks. I mean, I know that this like measuring how big the wave kind of world record thing is kind of new, because I feel like there's been huge waves of you, huge waves of Ken Bradshaw, huge waves of at Mavericks that were like close to 100 feet. I feel like, I don't feel like I'm exaggerating, but I know that there's been just huge waves, because if you're just counting the split second of the peak, you know what I mean? I feel like there has been waves that are close to this. It's just in the details whether this is the biggest.
Yeah, I think, if you just look at the numbers, the possibility of it being the biggest are really, really good. Okay. Where we've had 20-second interval swells, and like during the making of Chasing Mavericks, there was a April 1st swell that was gigantic in the middle of the night, and we saw 60-foot faces right at first light, and by the time we got out there, it was I mean, we missed the biggest part of that swell, but we had to literally sit at the green can going out the boat channel and wait for a lull so that we could go out. It was whitewater all the way across the boat channel. And we had to wait for a lull to get out. So when you know, that's exactly what happened this swell. There's been a handful of swells that I've seen that where you had closeouts in the boat channel. And
what about the Santa Cruz Harbor got completely wiped out? It was like tidal waves. I mean, was the harbor up there like demoed too, or?
No, we've got the reef that extends from Mavericks and south, so that's the first break, knockdown of the energy, and then you have the outer wall, and which you can't get through, but it was actually putting like 1 foot waves on the beach inside the harbor, but inside the inner harbor it was just surge, and the boats are moving around pretty good, but it's graded down quite a bit. Like the tsunami, I watched the tsunami years ago from the Fukushima earthquake. We filmed the tsunami, and there were guys out surfing Mavericks, and right at like 8:15, all of a sudden the water started draining out of the harbor, and there was a huge brown river going out into the middle of the bay, and the guys that were out at Mavericks all of a sudden were hundreds of yards drawn off the reef to outer deep water, and then 15 minutes later, here comes the push, from draining the harbor to all of a sudden, here comes the rush of it back in, and boats broke loose, and the ab farm broke loose, and but after that whole next week, it was like if you had a bunch of people jump in the pool, and the refractions coming from all sides of the pool, it's like it took the ocean more than a week to stop refracting, the whole Pacific Ocean refracting. It was a weird thing. It had the weird energy for like a week. Like there was constant like reverb coming from you don't know where, but a long way away.
So you're saying that people were out at Mavericks when the tsunami hit from Japan? Yeah, there were. Did anyone ride it?
No, they got just pulled off the reef.
Oh.
And then as it pushed back in, waves broke. I don't know that anybody rode it. They just tried to get out of the water because it was really weird out there after that.
Oh, because they knew it was coming. Probably people on the radio.
Well, no, they were just out surfing Mavericks.
And they just felt off. Like, this is so weird.
It just, all of a sudden, the tsunami just like pulled them off the reef, right? Because water goes out. It just, all of a sudden, it retracts.
Oh my gosh.
And then it surged back in.
I have nightmares about that tsunami, and I'm always, like, in my mind, I'm, like, half asleep in bed, and I'm like, what do I do? Like, because I feel like I would have been out surfing that day. And then if that happens, because it could happen to surfers no matter where you're surfing, but it's like if the ocean starts going out to sea, is it better to paddle out and try to go underneath it?
Depends on, I don't think you're going to make it underneath it. It's one of those things where I think, if you can get to deep water, you're going to be fine. But if you look at what happened at Fukushima in Japan, or Phuket, like the boats that were in the water, they just were charging out to sea in Phuket, and it was really close. They made it out, and they made it over the waves, but they were already offshore. And I think surfers in the lineup.
So
Go ahead.
split second, what's your choice? If everything starts sucking out, are you trying to paddle to shore and run up the cliff, or are you paddling out? What's Jeff Clark's choice?
I'm getting a wave to the beach and scrambling to the top of the point.
Okay, I'm gonna have to consider that, because in my dream I always try to paddle out and go under it, but maybe that's not a good idea.
Well, I mean, we've got most of the places I surf have 80-foot, 60, 70, 80-foot cliffs, right? So if I can get out of the water and, quick enough to, if I can get up the cliff in 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I think that's the best option.
Do you think, what about like comparing these waves to like Cortez and stuff? You still think it's the biggest wave ever surfed?
Well, I think a lot of these waves are, Nazare is different. Cortez is different. They're more of these big, super fast moving mountains of water that the tops start to crumble, and there'll be a hollow section, but it's a giant slope. And like Nazare is so big, but it's just a huge slope. It's like the bottom of the wave never slows down. It doesn't stop long enough to turn into a pipe style barrel or a Mavericks style barrel, right? It breaks, and then you're trying to outrun the avalanche of whitewater, and there's really not a lot of face left or wall that you can run down or across to get away, it seems like.
Yeah.
Nazare is different.
Yeah. Oh, you were talking about Jaws right then, or Nazare, right?
Well, Nazare. Yeah. Now, Jaws has a wall to run across, right? Mavericks has a wall to run across. And Cortez Bank, it's like a combo, but it's closer to a Nazare style wave, I think. Oh, having surfed it, I've surfed it really big, and Cortez Bank, and the first thing I noticed is like my first wave, man, I was so seasick, and Healy goes, "You're going first, man." I'm like, "Okay, here we go." I'm friggin' my blurry vision. I'm just not right, and he whips me into a 60-footer, and I bottom turn and come up, and I realize I should have just been going straight, trying to outrun the thing. And next thing you know, I'm banking off, and it's not hollow, and it's not jacking up. It's just an avalanche. And it starts to surround me, and all I can think of, really, this how my day is going to start? I come up like a couple 100 yards later, and he goes, "Where you been?" It's like, "I've been busy, all right." But yeah, it's like, and how was that? It's like,
oh my gosh, it's crazy. I mean, dude, it takes me so long to put on my wetsuit these days and like have my coffee. And I'm like with my buddy, and I feel like they're always pissed at me because they're like, "When's he gonna get out here?" And it's like I'm seriously, I feel like I'm rushing, but it takes me so long just to. I can't imagine flying to Jaws and just being like Mark Healy, waterman, psychopath, legendary guy. Just, "Okay, Jeff, your turn." Like no time to let your coffee go down and.
Well, it was so funny because we went out in Rob Brown's boat, and I was in the front part of the boat. That was the only place left, and it was raining and storming, and the front of the boat is slamming the whole time. And so I woke up just so motion sickness. It took me like 15 to 20 minutes just to put my wetsuit on. I was just lost. And the skis were in the water. It was actually pretty nice out. The fog had lifted, and we got over into the lineup, and it was like, here we go. And yeah, it was pretty gnarly. And at one point, Cortez.
Cortez, okay, yeah.
Yeah, out at Cortez. And at one point, the fog came into zero. It was, and everybody's like, the guys that had been there before were like, back to the boat, just set a beeline and get there as fast as you can. And we all got back to the boat, and the fog went to zero visibility. And at 90 miles offshore, that's not a good thing. It's like they can find you with, we all had radios. So, they can turn up the sonar on the boat and find you and talk to you and lead you back to the boat. But, yeah, pretty scary situation with, being that far offshore in really big surf and no visibility.
Oh my gosh. And that's like what, like a 2-hour boat ride to that spot?
Oh, no, it's 90 miles. So it's like, if your boat goes 25, if you're going at 25, which is pretty fast in a boat, and especially in rough, big seas, you're going to spend a lot of hours, 4, 5, 6 hours to get there.
Oh my gosh. And what was it? Was that the trip with Brad Gerlach too, or was that a different trip?
No, who was this? This was when they were testing the Billabong X wetsuit, or the inflatable box on the back. And Dorian had one of those, and Greg Long, Parsons, Healy.
So they basically were like, we're going to throw you under a 60-foot wave with our new wetsuit to test it out? Is that what you're saying?
Well, they did that with Dorian.
Okay, was he okay?
And
did it work?
It brought him to the top, but they didn't put it on his front. There was no air in the front. The box was all on the back, and so it held you face down.
Oh my gosh.
So it was a problem. They immediately switched that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's watching that, and then the ability to dump the air, that wasn't available. And it was so that next year I built that my vest, and had flotation in the back, had flotation in the front, had only 2 cartridges, a manual pull on each lapel, and then a manual inflator on the left shoulder, and then a full dump valve with a really nice big valve in the back of the middle of your back, because you can't have any CO2 around your face. It'll choke you out.
It'll just tighten up around your throat.
Well, it won't tighten up around your throat. It's just you can't breathe CO2.
Oh. Okay.
So it's like you can't breathe. And some of the early prototypes and vests that were put out had the exhaust port in the front collar, and that would literally, all of a sudden you can't breathe. It like takes your air away. It's a pretty interesting way to, it's not good. So, but I was working with a company on the East Coast, and they put the big valve on the back of the inflator. So with one pull, the valve was an 1.5 inch valve, and you could immediately dump all your air. And
to go under waves, is that why?
To go under waves and not become a beach ball.
Yeah, because like if that thing inflated while you were wiping out, you could get bounced like 50 feet in the air.
And it has happened. And we watched a guy during the swell. He went up and over the falls, and he didn't come up for 200 yards because He was just being drugged and flogged in the turbulence.
And he couldn't pull the cord or whatever?
Well, I think he did pull the cord. But the turbulence, I mean, the waves are so big, they would hold you down regardless of the flotation. But then you're like a beach ball, and you're bouncing along with this thing for 200 yards, or it's holding you down. I've seen two-wave hold downs with a vest or an inflatable inflated. Two-wave hold downs with air.
Oh my gosh! So what you're saying is you have to time the pull like perfectly.
Well, you know, you kind of have to. What I've found is without flotation, the wave has you have a better possibility to not be drugged by the wave. If you have air, you're going with the wave, automatic. And if you don't have inflation, or you have less, it gives you the chance to maybe sink a little better. And then when it's time and you need air, you know, say you've been down for 14 seconds, you know, 14 seconds, we've watched over the years on the videos, the guys that have wiped out or under for, I mean, that's kind of the long hold downs, right? And then every now and then somebody will have a special one that they're under 25 seconds, right? So,
a two-wave hold down could be even longer.
Yeah, two-wave hold down on a 17-second interval. So you're getting held down, and depending how far you're drugged, you could be under for quite a while.
Yeah, like 2 minutes.
No, I don't think nobody's been under for 2 minutes. Maybe like 45 seconds, and that's like...
Well, there have been 2 guys that died, so they were under for more than for, you know, rest in peace. Obviously, Sion and Mark Fu, like, that wave will hold you down, like, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, also, you know, there's been some situations where we don't really know, you know, like with Fu, you know, it seemed like he went through his board, whether he got knocked out or not, or he got trapped on the bottom by his leash. You know, I think Parsons ran into him underwater, and he thought it was Brock, and you know, whoever he ran into was swimming to the surface, fighting to get to the surface, and never surfaced. And that ended up being Mark Fu. But and then with Sion, I just don't know. You know, I know it was low tide, and it was really big. The NOAA officer was sitting on the launch ramp trying to write tickets because they just made it a law that jet skis were illegal. And it was just so wrong. You know, in hindsight, you want to disobey those kind of laws and look out for the welfare of your brothers.
Oh, there was no skis out that day?
There were only a couple.
And so
there were only a couple.
Nobody really saw what happened to him.
Well, they said there were some guys videotaping that saw him go down, and they even said something like, you know, they posted his last wave and then took it down. And even when they said in the video, it's like, wow, that was gnarly. We should go check on him. And then they turned and videotaped the next wave, but nobody ever went and checked on him.
Yeah, because there was hardly any skis, and those guys were out there to film.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so heavy, bro. Like, I remember Sonny's like such a smiley guy too, and it was like when those guys, like, I don't see him doing it as much, but the like surf Jaws and then red eye it to surf Mavs. I mean, I feel like that's just too much for humans, kind of.
Well, you know, Lucas did it this time, and Justine did it, and it was, you know, Lucas showed up and he was on fire, man. Just coming from Jaws and then straight out to Mavs, and but yeah, Justine did it. But you could tell after being at Jaws and then surfing in the eddy and then catching the red eye, she was a little travel weary, you know. And I think that's probably what led into Mark Fu's, you know, tragedy.
Well,
a little bit.
It's like I don't know, like when I'm surfing, and you know, excuse me for saying this, but like big waves compared to you, it's nothing. But it's like, I feel like, or even if I'm surfing like double overhead, like Rincon or Steamer Lane, if I get a couple good ones, I don't always just try to go race back out there. I don't know. I feel like as you get older, it's like you realize like you don't need to catch every wave. You know, I feel like Lucas is a special thing because he's like the most trained guy out there right now, but like for most people it's just not a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like, what do you need to float your boat? Just, you know, one really good one, you know?
Yeah.
or you know, you don't have to like, it's not an endurance. You know, it's not an Ironman. You can make it an Ironman, and you know, there's times in our lives where we were making it an Ironman because we couldn't get enough. But after you've had a career of that's pretty full plate, you kind of pick and choose the special days, and it's like that's all you need. And like the biggest day, being in the channel and appreciating all the guys that were where I was 40 years ago, it was really fun to watch, watch the guys that have that much amp for that much power. And, you know, we've all been there, and it's just fun to watch the next generation, like, go after it with such crazy energy. You know, it's really fun to watch. And, you know, if we're living vicariously through that, man, shoot, I'm all about it, you know. And if I can get one in the mix or a couple in the mix, pretty psyched.
I heard you caught a wave that day.
Not the big day. A couple days later, I watched just the, you know, I've been too busy doing other things. And, but one of those things is putting together a prototype single fin for big tow-in days. And, I've got it ready to ride. And, I got behind the rope. Kafka towed me around, and it was so foreign to me. It was like, oh my gosh, just tow me north. I need to get my sea legs back. You know, I realized it had been like 14 years since I grabbed a rope and tow surfed on a tow board. You know, I've foiled all kinds of stuff, you know, tow foiling, but tow surfing, Mavericks, I haven't done that. But I got a little bit of, you know, some stability and got a little bit of familiarity, muscle memory from 14 years ago. And it was going to take me back to the south side, back to the boat. And he just managed to drive me into a wave instead. And so I got one. And but for proof of concept of the new design that I'm building, it was really okay, this is gonna work. So I'm looking forward to the next time it gets big, because doing a little more prep work, and I'll be able to get in the water.
Awesome.
On a bigger day.
Like we were saying, I mean, you've already surfed. You've got it by yourself. You've towed into monsters. You've gotten barreled. So there's no rush to do that. I worry about my friends out there, and I feel like the brain injuries are probably happening a little bit, because I know when I get rattled on a wave, I feel a little dizzy afterwards for a little bit. I feel like that's kind of a newer thing for me, but lately I've wiped out a couple times, and literally, I mean, there was seeing stars when I was younger, like I've surfed some big waves.
Yeah.
But I feel like lately, double overhead wave, I'll pull in, or 10-foot wave, I get slammed, or if I don't make the drop, I'm kind of dizzy for like a couple minutes lately, and I kind of worry about some of the veterans.
Traumatic brain injury stuff, for sure.
Because you get rattled, and like I know that I'm more sensitive now to that, but I just can't imagine. I'm watching the footage, and just it's kind of like a nuts thing. It's like people sometimes used to say like, oh, big wave areas are crazy, and that's why they charge. But it's like I never thought that. But it's like you just gotta take care of your head. And you see all the surfers at Pipeline wearing the helmets now, and it's like no one at Mavs had helmets on. I don't know if helmets help. For me personally, when I wore a helmet, it didn't help. It made things worse. But
yeah, me too. I've got a helmet design I need to put together, man, because it acts more like a normal head when you hit the water, rather than this you throw a water polo ball against the water and it grabs immediately. And I've had the worst stinger I've ever had trying to dive in the water with a helmet going really fast. And I thought my right arm was on fire because of the stinger in my neck. And so I stopped wearing a helmet immediately, because your head can't penetrate.
Exactly. I wore a helmet out at Chopu right when all those helmets came out, and that was the most worked I've ever been in my life. The thing just, you hit the water at Chopes, it's a fast moving wave, and it just ripped the helmet upward, and like literally thought I was gonna like squish the teeth out of my skull. Yeah,
not good. Yeah, I'm not a helmet guy. I've been wearing, with the hydrofoiling and stuff, like more like a rugby helmet,
like
right?
Like a softer one.
A soft neoprene, thick, with a little bit of, protection in it. But the round plastic helmets, I'm definitely not a fan of.
Yeah. So like, also I just wanted to comment, like, you're like, oh, I'm out there. It's like, dude, just going out there on a ski is an extreme sport. Like, just being there is super extreme. Like, tell me, how hard was it? Even you got there in the morning and it was foggy, right? Did you even know what it was going to be, or?
It was pretty foggy, and so I had John Rivera from Santa Cruz driving my Zodiac. Right, I have my 20-foot rib, and we went out around the harbor and over into the lagoon inside the rocks, right? And John started to follow me out there, and there was just no way. It was just walls of white water, and so I go, okay, I'm gonna go drop Ginger off out on a ski outside. I'll find somebody to drive my ski through the inside, and I'll drive my boat out. So I got on the boat with John, and I left the other guy with my ski, and it took us a minute, but I was able to, get through the path that if you know that zone, like I know that zone, I know it's going to let me out. And it's just a matter of time and seeing that moment, seeing that window, and going through the eye of that needle. And basically that's what it was when we got out. It was going between two 8-foot walls of whitewater that had a tiny little cross up. And I was able to climb one and go out in front of the other and do the S-turn through it. And John goes, if I didn't see it, I wouldn't have believed it. But we got my big boat out there, or my 20-foot rib out there, and then my ski showed up. But yeah, just getting out there, getting out there is really good too. One of the things you can do is get out, just like I lined up a charter for some friends of mine, and they went around the normal boat channel when the tide was high, and they made it out to Mavs. And then some of the ski guys from the rescue were like, hey, we're going to escort boats in. And but they were going to take them over and through the buoys. And when the tide's low over there at the biggest part of the day in the afternoon, it's like that's like one of the most dangerous places you could be. And like I told John, I go, there's no way we're taking my boat down there because it can't go 40 miles an hour. And that's how fast you got to go to outrun the swells in the main channel. So I just come straight back into the lagoon. And I told John, just follow me, and we'll find the smallest wave after a set, and we'll just follow that wave and just come right into the lagoon. Because when a wave breaks, like across Mushroom Rock, they slow down. So you can actually, if your boat goes 20, you're going to outrun anything. Because the waves are slowing down, and then you clear that 200 yards and you're in a lagoon, and now you can go, 10 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour, and just drive nice and slow back to the harbor.
Oh, okay. I didn't know it was so easy. Next time I'll just rent a boat and do that, Jeff. On the biggest day in history, I'm just gonna rent a boat. I've never done it, but I think you explained it perfectly.
Sounds so easy.
Yeah, you might want me to drive the boat.
Yeah, I think you could drive the boat.
But yeah, I know there was a video of a friend, that the charter I set up. I refer these people to a friend of mine, Don, because he's got a very, very good boat, and it's fast, and but as they talked him into going down the other way to come in, and had I known. I saw him over there, but I didn't get over there to talk to him soon enough, because I would have had him follow me through the gap.
Yeah. There weren't that many boats out there that day.
No, there were 3 of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's psycho.
And then I saw some of the pictures of the guy that drives that Ponga.
Uh-huh.
And oh my gosh, that guy was on some big waves out in the channel, and it was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I want to be on that kind of boat.
Yeah, no.
Sitting out there.
What about that keel thing? Like, some guy was riding a keel. I mean, he didn't get like the biggest waves, but he got some bombs.
Oh no, the hydrofoil?
Yeah, what was that?
The guy, that was insane, man. that was some really, really big waves. I mean, I've watched guys foil at Nazare, Kai Lenny foil Nazare, foil Jaws, and Kalani Vieira foiling huge waves on Kauai, and it's to see that happening at Mavericks. It was like, holy cow, this guy's got it going on. And he got some really big waves. I think the most dangerous thing at Mavericks at this point is the 10 skis that create a wall on the shoulder of the waves. Like he had to, there was nowhere for him to go on a couple waves, and you see him just trying to turn out and just abort, because everybody wants to just get as close as they can, and they completely block whoever's on the wave.
Oh, like on the shoulder?
On the shoulder, yeah. Yeah, it's just, you guys don't need to be that close. Whether you're rescue or photographer or whatever, when you start getting in the way of the people on the waves, that's when you're too close.
Yeah, and you're saying that, like, that'll make you stay in the wave when you want to kick out.
Yeah, in the wave, or, like he pulled out and crashed a couple times because there was you can tell he's going so fast that he needs a long runway to kick out onto the shoulder, and there was like nowhere for him to go. Dude. And it was pretty gnarly, watch it, somebody running with scissors. You want to stay away from them.
That's what I'm saying. If that guy ran into you, that thing would just could do some damage, or to himself. Like, what happens when you get, everyone's gotten hit by their board underwater at least once. Like, what happens if that keel gets pushed into you?
It slices, it dices. Yeah, you get chopped up. Running with
scissors for sure. Dude, how's this winter been? It was so flat all summer, and then it's just been like non-stop since October?
Yes, it's been really good surf. I drove by the city today, and at low tide, it was just, handful of guys out here and there, but just beautiful Indo-style groomers that were just peeling on the horizon. It looks so good.
Oh my gosh, it's been so fun down here too. We've gotten a bunch of Santa Ana days with like the offshores, but this last Santa Ana day was the day that the fire started in LA. That morning was like really, really good, and we had no idea that the winds were going to pick up like that though.
Yeah, the morning that fire started, 3 a.m. here, I stayed on the boat that night, and man, I thought I was thinking, is this Scotts Valley? We having a tornado? It was so gnarly that night. It just it's like it hit the boat so hard, and then it didn't stop for a couple days.
Yeah, we got all pumped up to go score. I went and did a film session with Pat Curran and Killian Garland and Kellen Ellison, and we got up early that morning and went on a little strike mission and scored, but it was crazy because that fire started, and I was just, I don't know, I was dumbfounded that they couldn't put it out.
Well, yeah, I watched a bunch of stuff about mismanagement of water that is just really, there's just really no excuse for it. There's no excuse for fire hydrants running out of water. And people not taking their job seriously, and from the mayor of LA, and the fire chief called it out, and because she called it out, she got fired. Right? And it's like they'll take out anybody who calls out exactly what happened.
Well, like, they knew. The thing is like, there's a crazy connection between surfers and storms. Like, the storm at Mavericks took out the harbor, so that's like there's positives and negatives. But like, they were forecasting 80-mile-an-hour winds like days out. Like, this wasn't a normal
right
devil winds event. So like, let me tell you what I think they should have done real quick, because I'm wondering why they didn't do this. Is I think what they should have done was, how they have the satellites like pointing down, basically they can take pictures as long as there's not clouds anywhere on the land.
Yep.
Yeah, so if they were just monitoring the forest and everything around wherever the winds are that high, 80 miles an hour, so that the instant that they see a spark, they should have already had, in my opinion, like 10 of those water planes on the runway ready to go, and just put out like a notice like, hey, if we see a fire, we don't care if you're in the area or whatever, you'll get 30-second notice. We're dumping this water, even if it ruins your house. Like, we're not taking any chances. And I feel like if they would have been prepared like that, like mobilized like the military, because this is like gnarlier than like any attack we've ever been under. Like, literally, like thousands of houses are destroyed.
Yeah, the problem with that though is the winds on those canyons. You can't get planes in there. You cannot get the planes in there when the winds are that extreme. It's just way too gnarly. It's way too dangerous, because the downdrafts and the turbulence around the canyons and the ridges and it's makes it really sketchy.
That makes
because
sense. That makes sense.
I think they would have had the planes had there not been wind. They would have, because I was up in Santa Rosa the year after the Santa Rosa fire, or 2 years after, and we were on a golf course, and we look across the canyon and we see a fire, right? And we hear the fire engines. In less than 5 minutes, there's a jet that's been scrambled, and it flew over to pinpoint the fire. It's like the incident commander is in a small Learjet and flew over the fire, and then within 5 minutes an airdrop, and they did 2 passes and literally put the fire out.
Okay.
So like Santa Rosa's got it together.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think it was bad programming, because I did see some water drops later in the day. So I'm just saying, like, because it started kind of in the middle of the day-ish, and it was like, I saw a time lapse, and it wasn't that, because it didn't get windy until dark, but it was like, we surfed that day, and it was only like 40 miles an hour max, and then it got windier. So
yeah.
But I know that the way that wind works, it's like, it doesn't just blow, it like moves, like it's not a liquid, but like it's basically a huge thing like an ocean, but it's air instead of water, one of the elements coming down the mountain. So I know what you're saying. In those gullies, it could, when you get a stream like that, it could totally get insane.
No, the turbulence, the downdrafts, stuff going over ridges and spinning down. It's and then as it gets hot, the wind, the air is less dense, so you lose your, it's like flying, I don't know. It's there's less lift in really hot air.
Right. So you could like lose your, that's why there's those big wing airplanes then, huh?
Yeah. The heavy transport planes, huge wings.
Yeah, I seen them doing the water dumps out of the ocean. It looked insane. Did you see that footage?
Yes, of picking up water. It's mind-boggling that there's that much lift in those wings to fill up your belly in salt water and then fly out of the water. It blows my mind that they can do that.
Those pilots are like pretty intense, right?
Yeah.
Pretty focused.
Definitely.
Pretty focused. Dude, you think Jay would have been towing out there that day? Probably, huh?
Oh yeah, we would have been towing every day. It was pretty incredible towing with Jay while he was here, man. You know, there's that one session where he's riding the red board, and it's just huge. I had cracked ribs. And it's like, he goes, what are you doing? I'm like, we didn't train for the last year for me to sit on the sidelines because I got a little owie. So I medicated up, wrapped my ribs with like 9 layers of, the pallet wrap plastic, took a good half breath, maybe a little more, and wrapped my rib cage so that if I took a full breath, I had full encasement. But it was like it's time for me to put him at the end of the rope and get him some good waves, and we did, man.
That's rad. Do you think there'll ever be another Mavs contest?
I think there's too many people that deserve to be in it, don't you?
Oh, well, I mean, I don't really know how it works.
Well, how would you work it?
A Mavs contest?
Yeah.
I mean, if I was serious about it, I would have, like, I mean, I guess it's complicated and political because there are so many contests and all that, but if I was just concerned about myself, I would say, have, like, a 3-month waiting period, or whatever, 2 months, and have, like, I guess, I mean, you bring up a good point. How many people can you fit in a contest? But I guess I would just do my best to give the people that I wanted a shot, and I think I would just, try to have at least 50 people in it, but like you said, I don't know. I guess there's not really that many waves and a swell out there, and
yeah, and then you're dealing with daylight. Like, we'd start the contest at 8 a.m, and by 3 o'clock, we're trying to get the final finished, and the weather changes. Like, it'll be glassy in the morning and blown out in the afternoon, and you're trying to get the semis done and then the finals, and that's just with 24 guys, and then you have to pull all the buoys and try and get everybody out of the water by dark. Which is like 5:30, 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, I guess I just miss not having a contest there. It doesn't need one, but it's like, I mean, obviously, like, that was glory. Part of my glory days was watching Flea win it 3 times in a row, and Peter Mel and Slater being out there in these, like, epic battles. It just seems so like storied and historical, and it's like, it's kind of a bummer that part's gone, because I mean, the Eddie is awesome, but it's like, dude, I just feel like Mavs is its own beast,
It is, and I think like the XXL style, like that's why I put together the Big Wave Awards, right? And we just, my idea was that you record all the swells. The surfers come and surf whenever they want, when they're feeling it, and you try and capture the best waves of the year, and hopefully you get the cooperation of the videographers and you can capture all the best waves. And at the end of the year, you have the surfers pick the winners.
Is that what you're doing right now?
Well, I'm not really doing anything right now. I was, kind of frustrated over the years of not being able to get all the waves, right? And so somebody's always not going to be happy. When Pete got that crazy barrel, he was going to, they wanted to feature him in Groundswell 2022, right? And because Pete had an insane year, he got that crazy barrel, and then later on, he got that gigantic wave, right? That year. And so this was for a feature film. They wanted Pete to be a part of it, and they couldn't get access to the footage. And so Pete got completely left out of a feature film. Right? And so when you're trying to put together an award show or whatever, it takes the cooperation of the community, because it's the surfers that are actually putting the time in and the training to get the waves that are making the videographers famous, right? And if the videographers don't, reciprocate back to the surfers, it's like, what's the point?
That's sad.
So, so it goes back to people just being pissed off and frustrated. And it's like, you just go surfing because you love to surf, not because, you hope that so here's in the complete flip side of that. I was out surfing Ocean Beach on my sup, and it was the day that Kelly won his 11th title, right? And I was in the middle of the beach because the waves were so good, and I freaking just scratching, and I'm on a sup, right? And it's an 8.9, it's 28 inches wide, it's a needle for OB, right? And I kind of backdoor into this thing, and I get halfway down the face, and it hits the bar and just starts roping, and I pull up in, and I get just shacked off my brain, right? And come out the end, and I'm paddling back out, and the surfer came over the shoulder, as I went by him, and I caught back up to him as we were paddling back out, and he goes, "Man, I never seen anything like that before on a stand-up paddleboard," right? And I'm changing up by the car, and I see this guy go, and he points at me, and then he pulls over, and he comes running up, and he goes, "Dude, I got that barrel." And the guy just goes, "What's your email?" And he wrote it down. He goes, "I'll send it to you." And it was like, I got this thing. I opened it up. I'm just, oh my gosh, how cool was that? The guy was just randomly looking down panning the beach with his camera, and I got the whole sequence. It's just freaking stoked me out, Did I do anything with it? Did it mean anything? Just to me.
Is it a photo or a video?
It's photos. It's sequence. That's all.
I want to check it out.
It's a really cool sequence. It was, but I was just stoked to have gotten the wave, and then to have somebody go, "Dude, that was sick. I got the pictures," and throw them at me. I was like, pretty stoked, man.
Yeah, I know. It's like
Fun stuff.
I love to be filmed when I'm surfing, and I love filming surfing because it's such a special thing. that when you're surfing, even sometimes I come in and I just trip out. I'm like, I can't believe I rode all these waves from Mother Nature today. Like that's so weird and awesome.
Yeah, whenever, like even my buddies, when I roll out into the lagoon and they're on a sup or they're on a foil or this that, I pull out the phone and like capture a few waves of them, because nobody's following them around to film. And how cool is it to go, oh yeah, Grandpa surfed. Here's a couple pictures. Or they get, people just get really stoked to they're stoked just surfing anyway, but when you actually give them something that they can be proud of, it's really fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. Well, thanks for taking the time, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
And,
absolutely.
And if people want to get some sick Mavericks gear, you've got the best Mavericks surf shop.
Oh my gosh, the shop's full of gear. We've got the Blue Soup inflatables, big wave leashes, really nice future fin sets for guns. And then I'm setting the shop up. If you want to see probably the biggest collection of Mavericks guns, both new and used. I mean, I've got a handful of 1991 big wave guns in there, all the way up to the Manny Rosano model, Chris Burdish model, and the ones I rode, and a lot of historical boards in there right now, and there's going to be more.
That's sick. What's the address?
It's 25 Johnson Pier, right here in the harbor. And if you're looking to pick up some crab, commercial season's open, and there's lots of people getting crab here. A lot of bags walking off the pier with fresh crab.
Nice. Well, it's January 10th right now, so 2025, and we've been getting some epic surf. And thanks for letting us know your thoughts on that swell, Jeff. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'm in the shaping room a lot these days, so if you're looking for a big wave board or a fish for this spring, doing everything from 2 foot to 20 foot, got you covered.
Sick. It's on. There's going to be waves all winter, so it's like, I feel like people are scrambling for surfboards right now.
Yeah, I just did a quiver for Christian, one of our power surfers from the North Coast here. I did him a 6.0, a 6.6 step up, and an 8.0 for the big days. And then he's got his Mavericks guns, but yeah.
Is it hard to shape for Ocean Beach? What kind of board do you? Because I personally probably will never surf Mavericks, but I could see myself surfing Ocean Beach one day. Like, what kind of board is that?
So let's see, something it's a good paddler, a little more volume, but still try and pack keep the high performance rails in it, but like today, the current was just ripping through the north end of the beach, and it wasn't until low tide. But what kind of board is that? Probably it's a little more closer to a Sunset Beach board, because there's a lot more water moving.
So like 7.4. I'm like 5'8", so I probably need like those double overhead days. I like sizes 6'8", 7.4. 7.4 is like what I feel like I could still turn on,
Yes, yeah, 7 foot, 7.2, 7.4. That kind of shape you can put together and really get, make it high performance. Most of that stuff, the basic stuff on the rack is basic stuff. It'll get you so close. But if you want something that is, really tuned in for you, the right kind of leaders, the right kind of bottom in the board, it's I don't know. It's a lot better to get something, really go after what you vision yourself riding. And it's really cool. One of the glassers from Oceanside moved up here, and he's been glassing board. He glass boards for me 20 years ago, and now he's in Santa Cruz glassing again, and he's got his own label. But he's been doing, per my request, I'm doing PU blanks with S-glass and epoxy.
Wow.
And it makes the boards really tough, right?
Mm-hmm.
You spend money on a board, you don't want the thing to disintegrate, right? So I just build them out of higher quality materials.
That's awesome, because it's like, especially with those boards, because like you want that thing could last you for 10 years. You know what I mean? Like a sturdy 7.4.
Yeah, because you're gonna ride it. And well, this last couple weeks you'd be riding it every day. but yeah, a board like that length is something that you'll have around, because you know it's
Is that, yeah, has it been good up there at OB lately? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
But it's been big, there's been a few days everybody's riding 9.6s. So yeah.
Wow. There must not be that many guys on the SUP out there, right? How do you even get out there?
You got to really study the flow, man. You can get out there, but you just got to take your time, study the flow, and find the path of least resistance and the zone that'll flush you out to the at least midway, and then time it to get through the rest of it.
Yeah, I feel like the surfers that surf OB a lot and Mavericks, you guys are a different breed. Like, it's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, it's definitely a training zone for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Cool, Jeff. Well, have a great night. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right, Josh. Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, that was an amazing interview with Jeff Clark. Thanks again so much, Jeff Clark, for that incredible interview. Those insights were priceless. And now we're going to our next interview with Jack Sandler, the filmer that filmed a lot of the footage that you're seeing right now. What an incredible story. Let's hear his side of the story of the huge day at Mavericks. And just for a side note, a lot of this footage is also from Kyle Boothman, another incredible filmer. So thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Jack Sandler. Now let's talk to Jack Sandler about the epic filming of Mavericks on probably the biggest day in history. Okay, let's go.
Well, Mavericks is, the premier big wave spot in California. And I would say, honestly, the biggest wave in the continental United States. And then there's Jaws in Hawaii. It's definitely proving itself as one of the biggest waves in the world, if not the biggest wave in the world. But Nazare is consistently more the bigger wave in the world. But Mavericks is so special. Yes, Portugal.
Yeah, that wave gets crazy. That's where the current world record holder is from,
yes.
Am I correct?
Sebastian Stoitner, correct.
And he rode, like 100-foot wave?
86-foot wave.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So you might have actually filmed a wave that was bigger.
I might have. We'll see. I don't know if it was 108 feet like Frank initially said, but the wave was big, and it was the biggest wave I've ever seen, the biggest wave Al has ever surfed. It was pretty special.
Yeah, tell me about that day. Did you know it was going to be big a few days out, or were you surprised?
Yeah.
What
So we
happened
actually
that
had
morning?
we had our eyes on that swell for a decent amount of time because weirdly enough, it showed that long period swell would hit. But, seeing a forecast from a week in advance, you never know what's going to happen. And we got a few days before, and that long period started to show. I mean, the day before, I have a clip of Luca, getting probably a 40 or 50 foot wave, like a big wave. And so we knew the following day, if the wind stayed off, that the waves would be really big. So, the plan was to go out the whole time, and it kind of just worked out perfectly.
Walk me through that morning. What time did you wake up and breakfast and head to the dock and all that?
No breakfast on days like that for me. I get some nerves, to be honest. Like I have zero appetite when I wake up. I usually don't sleep because I'm probably more excited than scared. I don't know, those days out there are always the best days of my life, of my short 19-year-old life so far. But, being out at Mavericks is something special. And when you know it's going to be as big as it was that day, you're not going to sleep. So I didn't sleep that much. I got to my buddy Drake's boat around 6 a.m., on the water around 6:30, and out at Mavericks by 6:40.
So you got down to the dock about 6. Was it light yet? Was it foggy? What was it like?
Super foggy. Couldn't see anything out of the harbor. You could hear the waves. It was very loud. And we knew that going out would be pretty sporty, which it was. It was pretty fun going out. It was definitely a ride. I got pretty wet on the way out. It was we were running from probably 10 to 12 foot waves at Blackhand, and on the inside, just, big ones were coming at us. So we ran away on the skis and finally made it out. And what was really interesting was that the size of the swell kind of cleared out Mavericks itself. So from the cliff, you couldn't see the wave at all. You couldn't see anything. But while you were out there was a sort of halo of just open air that the swell cleared out. There was minimal wind, no rain, no clouds. It was really cool.
Whoa, so you're saying that when you got out there was just a bubble of blue?
Right, it was just a bubble of I wouldn't say blue because it wasn't the nicest sunny day. It was still dark out, but there was significantly less cloud coverage out at Mavericks because the swell was so large. It just kind of took over the whole area.
Wow, so you're saying the power of the waves actually moved the fog out of the way?
Yeah, it was really cool.
Could you see the shore, or was it just
No, you couldn't see the shore. You could see the shore on the inside when you were going out, but you couldn't really see in. You could see silhouettes of people on the hill watching, but that was it.
And they were, because I haven't seen hardly any cliff footage from that day, and I was always...
I haven't seen any cliff footage at all. I've seen one photo.
Because they were stuck behind that fog bank.
Exactly, the whole day.
Oh my gosh, that makes it just even weirder. Because this swell, it looks like the biggest swell in anyone's lifetime. Didn't it destroyed the Santa Cruz Harbor? That's never happened before.
Totally, and honestly, I feel like we've said this 2 years in a row now, which is pretty interesting. Last year, I think, don't quote me on this, but maybe it was 17 feet at 20 seconds, which is huge. It was big last year, December 27th, maybe to 25th. I forget what the date was last year. But then this year, this swell came, and we were like, holy moly, this thing's even bigger. So it could just be, a global warming thing. I don't know.
Oh, you mean the Earth is just going to make bigger and bigger waves? I like
that.
It
could be. The swells, everyone keeps saying, they'd never seen waves this big, and it keeps getting bigger.
That's a really good point. That would be a good side effect of global changes, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
For the surfers.
Yeah, I don't follow that stuff, but I thought that would be one way to think about it.
That's interesting. But hey, I wanted to go back a second. Like, tell us about that journey out to actual Mavericks, because for people that don't know, you actually have to go past a breaking wave to make it out there. That's the Black Reef, or what is it called?
Blackhand Reef or Blackhand Rock, I forget.
So you have to like time it, because you literally will get crushed by a huge barrel. I mean, how big was it that morning? And were you said you were on a jet ski?
Yeah, I was on a jet ski. It was no doubt in my mind the biggest blackhand I've ever seen. Like, it was perfect kegging barrels all day, like 10, 12 footers, which was really cool to watch because I'd never seen the inside break like that. So you're constantly looking out to see what sets are coming in, what, walls of whitewater are coming at you, that you can try and maneuver around to get out to the channel. Or, if a big wave comes, you're just gunning it straight in towards the harbor, towards shore, and you're just running away from these massive walls of water. And it was pretty cool. It definitely took us like 10, 15 minutes to get out, just dodging waves at Blackhand. There were a few boats that made it out, which amazed me because waves were breaking across the channel. No channel chasers came through, like none that ran everyone out, but there were waves, capping at the can, which is, the green can is, green right return. Like, you're safe there. That's deep water. And the swell was huge under the can.
Wow. Yeah, as a fan of Mavericks, and I've been out there on a boat like quite a few times, and growing up with Peter Mel and Flea and those guys, like, I remember shooting up there, and it was like, I was so excited to film, but at the same time I was like, just didn't want anyone to wipe out. I mean, it was insane.
Yeah, there were definitely some crazy wipeouts.
Yeah, you must have been like worried for them, right?
Yeah, it's for sure scary sometimes, especially like, there's a lot of family out there, literally. And I don't know, Mavericks is a community. If one person goes down, like, everyone kind of hurts. But there's also literal family. You got John and Pete Mel and Anthony. And you've also got Luca and Dom. And yeah, it's just, if stuff goes south, everyone's impacted.
And you said you got to ride out there with Drake?
No, so my driver that day was Tanner Waite, but it was on Drake's ski.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So has he driven you out there before, or?
Tanner?
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of putting your life in his hands. I hope you know.
Yeah, I love Tanner to death. That guy's amazing. He's a surfer, and he's also, he's a great filmer. So he kind of knew where to put me, where the shots would look good. So it was super fun.
Yeah, and you're just barely out of high school. Like, are your parents like a little nervous about you shooting Mavericks from a jet ski? Like,
yeah, they're nervous, but they know, like, I'm very safe out there. I mean, I looked like a strawberry out there that day. It was pretty funny. I wore a impact vest, pole vest, and a red life jacket. So I looked like a literal, like, floating dummy out there if I fall.
Wow. Has that happened before?
No.
No, because you probably don't. Do you use a water housing or no water housing?
Depends. I usually don't. I usually shoot 70 to 200. And so I don't have a dome port, or not a dome port, a barrel for my housing for a 70 to 200. So if I have a water housing out there, I'm shooting 24 to 70, but in my opinion, a 24 to 70 doesn't do Mavericks justice. It makes it look much smaller.
Yeah, you did a great job shooting this, I gotta say.
Thank you very much. I mean, I probably got 3 clips out right now on the internet. I've got like 2.5 hours of footage, so I'm really excited.
That's yeah, you could make a whole movie probably.
I could make a whole film just for that day, just for that swell. Those 2 days were big. I mean, the day before is not getting any hype. I posted one screen grab of Luca. I didn't post it, but I put it on my story on a solid wave, like probably 50-footer the day before, which was really cool.
That's awesome. Tell me about the being in position for the big one. Is that the one on your Instagram? Is that the big one?
Yes, the big one. That was potentially the world record wave. We'll know soon, hopefully. The positioning for that, I was more on the inside of the channel, which was a good shot to get the whole wave. But that day I was, Tanner put me in a great spot to shoot like into the barrel, which was really cool. There's some really cool shots of me right in front of these massive barrels, just right in front of me. And I was shooting into the barrel was like my favorite angle ever. I posted one frame grab, posted of Luca in the deepest barrel I've ever seen. And it's probably the best frame grab. I mean, probably the best clip I've ever gotten. The big wave is it's like, it's a cool clip because it's one of the biggest, it's the biggest wave ever at Mavericks, but like, it's just start of wave to end of wave. This wave I got of Luca was him, 30 feet back deep into a barrel, still standing with it, thundering around him.
Wow, no way.
Yeah, it was insane. Like Kelly Slater liked my post.
Oh my gosh.
Which is crazy for me.
Yeah. Was Jeff Clark out there too, or?
Yeah, Jeff was out there just, putting around on a ski, checking it out. It was really, really cool. And Jeff actually caught a wave one of the few days after. He got towed into one.
No way.
Yeah.
Jay, what a legend.
Legend.
So you shot like all day, basically 2 days in a row, right?
Yeah. That whole week I probably spent 40 to 50 hours on the water.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And what camera gear do you shoot?
Currently shooting on a Sony A7S III and a 70-200. I think it's the best camera to shoot with out there. Honestly, I think it is for video. Because if you're shooting with a red, you need a, first of all, super expensive body, which I cannot afford. Then I'd have to switch lens systems to Canon. And buying a water housing for that is even more expensive. So, like, it's pretty unrealistic for me. And with that Sony, I can shoot without a housing. And I can, not worry about it getting a little wet or a little spray on it, a little salt water. So it's like, it's perfect.
Yeah, dude, Sony's the way to go. I have some Sony cameras, and it's like, I love them because they work so well. Like when you need it.
Yeah, totally.
Sick. Well, do you think it's gonna be breaking more this year, or could be good again?
I hope so. I really hope so. I mean, every time it breaks, I get to go out of school and drive home and film Mavericks, which is a highlight of every day when I'm out there. Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna get anything soon. I hope we do.
Yeah, the way that this winter started off was really awesome. It was like such a horrible flat summer, and then it was just once winter started, it was like waves every single day.
Yeah, we had some great paddle days earlier in the earlier in the season.
Yeah, and what about OB? Do you ever shoot there? That wave looks pretty amazing.
Yeah, all the time. I live 5 minutes from Ocean Beach, so that's pretty cool. But honestly, the days when it's like really, really good at Ocean Beach, I'm at Mavericks.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. But I've gotten some really good days at Ocean Beach for sure. I mean, it's my home spot. I love it so much.
Nice. So what is your opinion? Do you think this is the biggest wave ever, or do you think it's gonna go?
I don't know anything about how they measure it. I'm new to the like. I never ever would have thought that the biggest wave ever surfed would have been in California, much less Mavericks. So I thought that's that's really special, even to be in consideration for the biggest wave ever surfed. And when you look at Mavericks versus Nazare, Portugal, Mavericks still breaks. Like it's not like a big lump that comes out of the ocean like Portugal, where that thing just kind of shoots up and then closes. More of a peak. Ours, like, I guess the whole left was closing out because it was breaking on the 5th reef or 4th reef. Like, it was so far out there. So the whole left would just cave and close out. But that right was still perfect condition,
Yeah, Mavericks is insane for people that really can't tell by the footage or photos. It's literally like a point break.
Yeah, it holds its shape.
And they're getting long rides, and the wall is like coming, and there's like sections, and yeah, Portugal is just like a freak of a wave that is like this huge, like it almost doesn't even break sometimes. It's just this huge like peak, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to describe.
Yeah, it's really cool.
But and then you got Jaws, which is another always has some insane waves.
Yeah, I've actually never been.
Yeah, the thing about Jaws though, it's like it's so blue. I feel like Mavericks with the watercolor and the vibe and the
it makes it so much scarier.
Yeah, just way scarier.
And way harder with the colder water, like physics wise.
You mean like it's heavier or?
Yeah, the water is literally heavier. You're getting hit by a heavier wave, and like paddling through this colder water is much harder than warmer water.
Yeah, it just doesn't look inviting.
Yeah.
I've never had the urge to surf Mavericks, and I love surfing, but I've never been like, I need to go there and surf.
Yeah. Tanner, the guy who was driving me, has done some great physics videos on how how the physics works on how it's a harder wave to surf, more challenging, and it was like literally just more challenging.
Wow. Oh, because of the physics. That's
because of the physics.
The reef or just the water density?
Water density, I'm pretty sure. But, he has a video on it that's really cool.
Nice. I would definitely check that out. What's the surfer's name's Aloe, right? That one?
Yes. Aloe Sliber.
What's he like? I've never met him.
Great guy. Very humble. Grew up in Santa Cruz. He works like a concrete construction job. Like, down to earth, super humble guy.
Wow.
And his tow partner, Luca, is also amazing.
So he's like a construction worker that literally just came out and rode just the craziest wave. That's awesome.
Yes.
That's so awesome. So he probably doesn't like fly to all the different swells then. This is just like did his job, woke up early.
He actually went to Jaws this year, right before this big swell. But yeah, Luca and Al are top of the pack at Mavericks with Pete Mel and Augie and John Mel.
Dude, those waves that Augie got, like Ryan Augenstein, I was just really, he was surfing, he looked like he was having fun. Like everyone else kind of looked survival status, but he wasn't going on the biggest ones, but he looked like he almost had the most fun.
Augie had one of the biggest waves of the day as well.
Oh, he did?
He did. He had 2 huge waves.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
I guess I haven't seen like all the everything because it's kind of scattered right now. It's like a couple guys have a few things up and
yeah, Tucker put out an edit with a lot of my footage. But yeah, most of my footage is still sitting on my computer. I don't want to do anything with it yet,
Yeah.
It's worth saving.
Yeah, it's definitely like I've filmed some pretty big days at Mavericks, but I just feel like this was bigger than anything I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was the biggest waves I've ever seen in my life.
And that's saying a lot because it's Mavericks.
Yeah, but I'm only 19, so I mean, I've only filmed, the biggest waves I've filmed in my life were always at Mavericks.
Yeah. So you're down in San Luis for school, you said?
Yep. I'm at Cal Poly, slow, working hard.
Do you have a major and all that?
I'm a Spanish major, but I did that to get into the school. It's really hard to get into California schools now.
There's some good waves down there, or you surf?
Totally, yeah. I used to surf. I'm just kind of a lot. I'm filming totally now.
Oh, sick. Do you ever make it down to Santa Barbara?
All the time. I have a bunch of friends in Santa Barbara. I used to work with, I say work, but like they're just my best friends with Gold Coast Surf. Adam Lambert and Jack Seitz and Johnny Foster and Elias Smith. They're all like my best friends.
That's pretty dope. The waves have been, it's crazy because Mavericks hit and it was like the biggest news ever, and the waves have been like fun down here south of.
Oh, Rincon was insane during Mavericks. My brother, who's a really good surfer, drove to Rincon just for the week. Like he just camped out there and surfed
all week.
Yeah, all week, because the waves were amazing there, and he's not a big wave surfer yet. He's training, so yeah.
Yeah, totally. Like Rincon was good. San Diego was nuts. Everywhere was just best ever.
Yeah.
It's been such an awesome winter, and then like the Santa Anas have been making a lot of good waves this year too. But God, that fire is horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Dude, you live in kind of a sketchy area for wildfires too right now, San Luis.
I totally do. Yeah, I never worried about wildfires growing up. Always earthquakes.
Yeah, it's weird how like surfers have a connection with the ocean, and it's like you look for these storms, but it's like when they do damage to other stuff, it's weird because you're kind of like looking forward to the storm, but then it's like not always all good.
Totally.
That's gonna be so crazy though, to drive down PCH and like see the ocean the whole way because all the buildings are gone.
Yeah, I'm excited for the Rincon Classic this year. I went last year and I want to go again this year.
Sick. That's super fun. I'll definitely be seeing you down there because I usually do that contest.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the Rincon Classic.
What else could we hit on? Should we talk about the water patrol, or you think we're almost done here?
There wasn't. I mean, something that was really cool that I'd never seen out there that day was there was a underwater rescue diver from the Coast Guard, and that's probably the scariest job you can have on a day like that. I mean, he's trained to dive so deep and try and get people and save people. So cool.
What? There was a guy underwater rescue?
No, his job is underwater rescue, but he didn't have to go at all.
That's psycho. So, cause like a couple people have died at Mavericks. Mark Fu.
Yeah. So it was really cool to see him. He was all geared up. He had, a mask and snorkel on his head at all times the whole day. Like that's even gonna help him.
Holy shit.
And a flashlight and a helmet. Like he was fully kitted out.
No way. Like he was gonna, if someone was stuck underwater, he was gonna start swimming underwater.
Yep.
That's like looking for a needle in a haystack, but I appreciate that.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. I always dreamed of being able to film Mavericks from under. You know what I mean? Like if you had
totally
lights and stuff.
Totally.
Just to see what it would look like from, but it's just so dark down there. I feel like that would be pretty tough.
Oh, I'd love to be able to get under there and see what it's like someday.
Yeah, even on a flat day, right? Just dive the reef and see what's down
Totally.
there. So sick. So do you have any plans for any big trips? Any filming trips is coming up, or?
Probably not. I mean, I pretty much have the okay to missed school for Mavericks, but I haven't. A bigger trip requires a lot of planning.
Yeah.
And a lot of missed class.
So how does it work? Is there like a team of skis you can call, or?
I have a lot of friends with jet skis, and I'm very lucky, and they're offering me rides a lot of times if I give them footage.
And do you drive the ski too ever? Or?
No, I don't. I'm gonna train for it soon, but right now I've just been sticking to filming from with the driver.
That's so sick.
Yeah, it's really nice. I'd love to get some more jobs. Like, I love working and filling my time with work. I'm more happy when I work.
Yeah, and you obviously have a passion for what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely.
That's epic. I just wanted to thank you for coming on to the podcast and all that, and we should catch up again in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Wow, what an inspiring interview with Jack Sandler. That's just such an incredible story about him filming Mavericks, and so much passion for what he does, and he's so young. He already knows what he loves. That's great. Next, we've got superstar, legend, Hall of Fame surfer, one of the best surf coaches in the business, if not the best. If you want to improve at surfing, you have to check out Wave Key, aka my friend Brad Gerlach. Let's go.
Josh,
Brad Gerlach.
you still doing the podcast?
Dude, yeah, I just talked to Jeff Clark, and I'm really stoked to talk to you for a few minutes, if that's okay.
Ah, cool. Yeah, talk to me.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for letting me talk to you on my podcast. I've looked up to you for a really long time, so just want to
yes, my pleasure. I'm flattered that you are interested in talking to me. I mean, it's cool, like, it's nice to get it's kind of funny, when you get older, it doesn't really come to my mind that often, but then I sometimes think, yeah, do these people even want to hear what I have to say? Like, I kind of, I can see why old people think, nobody ever listens to me. But I'm different. I'm more like, who's the oldest person here? I'm going to go talk to them, because they usually have like the most stories. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm flattered.
Oh man.
What do you want to talk about?
Oh, you're so right. It's like the older people have the stories. It's just getting it out of them sometimes. You just have to be patient. But I don't think of you like that, Brad.
I think
everyone's going to want to hear what you have to say.
Well, yeah, but it depends how you ask the question to older people, because sometimes they might think that you're not serious, or maybe they're not connected to the younger people, because they don't often get asked questions. So you got to build a little bit of rapport with an older person, because they come from the old school where you got to gain trust, and but everyone's different. Some people are fine to chat. My dad was fine to chat. He was like, oh yeah, sure, let's get into it. And I'm the same. I don't mind getting into it, as long as the questions are interesting, of course.
Dude, you just reminded me of one of the last times I saw my grandma. She lived to be 99 or 100, one of those. I should know the exact. 100. She lived to be 100. And one of the last times I saw her, I asked her, I said, do you have any good advice for me? And this is what she said. She said one line. She looked me right in the eye, and she goes, be nice to me.
Oh.
And I thought, Grandma, that's great advice. Of course, I'm going to be nice to you.
Yeah.
But that you're you kind of come from like an awesome family. Like your dad was awesome, just like sports, and like your dad was like a really awesome guy, right? Like for what he did. I know he wasn't perfect like anyone, but didn't he like was I don't really know much about it, but was he like a stuntman or what?
He was he was a daredevil, so different than a stuntman. Stuntman are paid to do stunts, usually for movies, and he got labeled. A lot of people thought he was a stuntman, but he was, but he's like, I'm not a stuntman, I'm a daredevil, and that was based on what like Evel Knievel was a daredevil, and people doing like incredible feats, tight rope walking off, the Grand Canyon and stuff. That's so he dove out of a balloon 85 feet in the air into sort of a big bed that was very small. It was the size of, it was like 13 feet long and 9 feet wide. And we have pictures of what it looked like from his vantage point, and it looks like a matchbox. It's insane. And he dove from there, and I just can't believe how incredibly brave he was. And he told me several stories of like, he had got commissioned to jump 10 nights in Japan off of a hotel, like a 8th or 10-story hotel or something, whatever. I can't remember the detail of it. But he said there was a typhoon out there, and he said, no, I'm not jumping. It's too windy. And the winds were still blowing every day, and they would come and say, okay, you jump now. And he's like, no, it's still windy outside. And he said they would go away, and they would come back 10 minutes later and say, okay, are you jumping now? And he would say, no, I'm not. And he said they came back so many times, he kept saying, no, I'm not. And he goes, it's like they were just going to ask me until I finally just said, okay, no, I'm not jumping. It's too windy outside. And he said it was incredible. And it lasted for like, typhoon lasts for 3 or 4 days. He goes, I can't jump if it's windy. But he was, and then he was an Olympic athlete, and so it was a diver, which helped him. So he studied the body and watched it perform in the air, and then went into the water, diving. He did it, and then he was a coach, and he judged diving events and all stuff. He knew all that stuff. He knew all the subjectivity behind judging, and all the he knew all the stuff about power, how to get power out of your body, how to do things elegantly, how to do things with efficiency. And he fell in love with surfing, and he just loved watching. He loved watching me. And I would come in thinking that I was ripping, and he'd say I'd look terrible. And then other times I would come in thinking I'd look terrible, and he goes, oh, you look pretty good. And I'd be like, what? I felt terrible. He's like, man, you don't know when you look good, and you don't know, it doesn't feel good when you look good. And then when you think it feels good, when it feels good, it actually doesn't look good. You're really basically told me, you need to know when you feel good, it looks good. You're not going to know what the hell's going on. and I go, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it came down to like being young and being really strong. And my idea of what I thought good surfing was me, trying too hard and muscling the board around too much. And I thought that was good, and it looked bad. And then he helped me see that when I relaxed more, I looked like a whole different surfer. I went from looking like an amateur and then I turned into like looking like a pro. And I catapulted into a different category. And I won my first event when I was 19, and he started with me when I was 17. I won a pro event at San Miguel when I was 17, just after he started helping me. And then 2 years later, by the time I was 19, I won that first contest against Tom Carroll and beat all the pros. And yeah, just proved that I was...
Okay, we just lost Brad connection, but we're gonna get him back. Yeah,
I don't think I
wanted to ask you about the Mavericks session, because you've surfed Cortez. Obviously, you were chasing big waves for a part of your career with Mike Parsons and even by yourself. So, like, what did you think of that Mavericks swell, the Aloes wave and all that?
Oh, the recent one that was just gigantic.
Yeah, like did you think it was gigantic, or how do you compare that?
Yeah, it looked huge. I saw one photo of Luca. What's his name? Luca.
I just call him Luca.
Yeah, Luca. Okay, well, that one wave of Luca doing a bottom turn, like a backside bottom turn. He looks like Aki doing this backside bottom turn on this huge wave, and I'm like, oh man, that looks so sick. Like the wave just looks it looks perfect. Looks like a giant, like just a monster, but the wind and everything on the face of the wave just looks. I mean, he must have had so much fun on that wave.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like that lifting. Well, I met Luca a couple of times, and I know he's training really hard. He works with Laird, and he's like a Laird's protege, and stuff. So and he's from Half Moon Bay, so I would expect to see him there when it was big, and it was great. The only photo that I ended up seeing was of him, and I was like, oh, killer, makes sense. That was what we were doing. I mean, there weren't that many tow surfers when we started. Pete and Skin Dog were towing, and then Mike, I got on it at like the 19, like I think 99. Yeah, 99. No, that maybe the second half of the first half of 2000, and then. Yeah, and then we towed a little bit at the end of 2000, because the winter starting October, that kind of thing. We'd go down and we're like, we have to get used to driving the ski around. Made a bunch of mistakes, and then 2001, January 19th, 2001, we went to Cortez with Skinny and Pete, and man, that was one of the best days of my life. Like, I mean, total bluebird. Giant waves. I got 2 giant tube rides that they missed. The video guy got it from like the boat, and he was like, it looked like he's 2 miles away, but you could still see that I pull up underneath it and disappear, and from the side I disappear. So I'm deep if you see it from the side. and they missed it. Like Chang missed it, Dana Brown missed it. I couldn't believe it. I was coming in. After the day, I thought, oh man, my whole life is going to change right now. When that stuff's on the big screen, like my whole thing is going to completely, like, my image is just gone from being like, yeah, Brad's a good surfer. Whatever, he was number 2, number 1, number 2, sometimes number 1, finished number 2, and then, yeah, he's good. And then he quit. He got all weird and played music. I don't know what he was up to. Then I saw him at Chopu, and he stuffed a huge one. Okay, yeah, well, he's kind of, wow.
And Hollywood.
Okay,
Wasn't he in Hollywood for a while, too?
He starred in a couple things in Hollywood, and I think he's playing bass in a band, and then what's he doing now? Like, oh yeah, now he's riding giant. I saw him in this music thing, and he was playing in a band. I think I saw him smoking a cigarette, and then the next time I saw him, he was on a 60-foot wave. What the fuck is wrong with that guy?
Legend. Dude, you know what would happen to me though if I packed a 60-foot barrel at Cortez with Aaron Chang on the boat and he missed it? I don't know if I would have made it home, to be honest. I think I would have slept at the dock, just in shock, shivering in a wet blanket. Like, just like, Chang! I would have just been saying, Chang! Chang! Chang!
No, it wasn't like that. It was like, we rode the skis back in the dark and all that stuff, and I just thought for sure there's no way they missed it, because there was only Mike and I and Pete and Skinny. That's it. We were the only ones in the water. So and you had all these camera crew and these guys and everything. You're like, there's no way they missed it.
And you didn't ask? So you didn't even ask. You just assumed they had it.
Yeah, I didn't ask because I'm not that type.
But
hey,
dude, it's a 60-foot barrel. Come on.
Well, I got two of them actually. It's so weird. Two of them, and because the thing is, I just remember fading, and there was like a big wedge coming down the line. So I saw this sort of wedge coming down the line, and I turned left on my heels, and then got on my toes, and then hooked into the wedge. But I was way down at the bottom of the wave, and I was like, I faded too far, so I was like, I'm gonna have to tube ride this thing. So I just started climbing like I was climbing a mountain. I was just started like pumping, like instead of you come off the bottom, you do a bottom turn and a top turn. I was like pumping uphill. Boom, boom, boom. I was like, how like everything is happening so fast, but things in my mind are going really slow. Like, look, if this is a 50-foot wave or 45 or 60 or I don't know what size it is, then even if it clamshells, I can probably still get out at the top, because the top of the wave will still be 10 foot. There'll be plenty of room up there. I'm sure I can get out if I just keep going up high. I was so low on the wave. And so I just kept pumping until I got to the point where I was like, uh-oh, it's fully thrown over me. And I was ready for the biggest car crash of my life. Like, just, okay, I'm going to get walloped here. And I just went poof, and I come out. And this guy, Fran Battaglia, do you know him? Fran, he used to work for Surfline. He videoed it and got it. He got it. It's actually on Surfline's movie that they did called Making the Call.
Oh, really?
And you can see it in the movie. It's there. So it's not that wave that is, where you tell people, yeah, the fish was like this big, and you're like, yeah, right. No one ever saw the fish, It's actually on video. So I was like, okay, well, one of them, not two of them, but one. And I was like, okay, at least, people know that it's true. Like,
where is that in the video? I wouldn't lie. I just pulled it up. I'm trying to.
Oh, it's in there. It's in there if you pull it up and you just scrub through it. I don't know, because I don't go study my own videos. Oh my gosh,
dude! I can't believe that you guys even surfed Cortez. You know what I was thinking was we surfed it. We 7 times. I've been out there seven times, and we only got skunked once. It was 7 times or 8 times, and only one time we got skunked. And I surfed it a bunch of times. I had career surfs out there. Rob Brown has photos of me on these 45-foot waves doing carve arcs, and they never got published. And all the tow photos and all that stuff, it seemed like they were all just photos of people going straight. And I was like, why didn't they ever? Like, I love those photos, Rob. He's like, yeah, I don't know why. Like, he's a cowboy, I love Rob Brown. He's like, I don't know why. These guys are out to lunch, and I'm like, okay, well, whatever. We'll save those for the book one day or something. But I got a couple I'm super proud of. And it's like a perfect 40-foot wave, like a perfect performance. And the board felt so good. 6'3". By the time then we got down to a size 6'3". Uh-huh.
You go up there and you could go up to the top of the wave and then hook it back and stuff. I was like, man, I am having the time of my life. I feel so lucky. I'm so grateful.
Dude, yeah.
Really grateful to Mike.
Oh, because he set it up, or?
Yeah, he was the driving force. I was at the same time I was doing that, I was also building the game NSL game format that I did. So I was really busy, like, trying to change the world of surfing, competition surfing with the game format and all that. And I would do that, and then it was like I was moonlighting as a pro surfer to be able to pay for my company that made these high school competitions, pro competitions, the X Games, and all that stuff. I wanted to do something different than just surf. I had that burning thing where as a surfer, I was like, I'm not making anything. I could do a big power carve turn, but the spray disappears in like 2 seconds. Sure, I made all that spray, but I didn't actually make anything. I started feeling like I was not.
Hello? Okay, wow, it looks like we just lost Brad again. He's in Micronesia, and it's super late at night, so I don't want to bug him any more than I already have. But what an incredible podcast. Number one, I hope you enjoyed it. The Josh Pomer Show /podcast. And should be available everywhere where you can listen to podcasts. Apple Music, Spotify, all that good stuff. I'm going to get it all up there. First, it's going to be on my YouTube page, Josh Pomer Surfing. And if you want to watch a really cool movie about Mavericks, check out Discovering Mavericks. It's a movie I made, and it really has Jeff Clark's true story of surfing out alone all at Mavericks. But thanks to all my guests, Jeff Clark, Jack Sandler, Brad Gerlach. Thanks to all the filmers, Jack Sandler, Kyle Boothman. And thanks to you guys for listening. If you made it this far, you guys are so amazing. Can't explain how much I appreciate you. And I'm really stoked to share these conversations with you guys. I hope you follow my podcast. All right, peace, love. Let's go catch some waves, and let's go get wet. Have a great one.